Hi guys and girls, how are you all doing today? Welcome to another episode of Car Chat, and I want to talk one more time about Star Trek Discovery because we've reached the, what are they calling it, the mid-season fall finale, something like that. 9 episodes of Star Trek Discovery. I gave my thoughts on the 2-part premiere. And now that we're at the break, I thought maybe we could chat a little bit about what has transpired in these 9 episodes and sort of how I feel about it. And of course, by all means, I'd love to hear your opinion. So if you disagree with anything that I'm saying in this video, feel free to leave a comment down below and we can discuss. I'll try to keep this short and not too ranty. Here's sort of my general feeling about the whole thing. It's not very good in the sense that it's not a very well executed TV show. So let's start with that. In terms of, there's a lot of Trek stuff that is a problem for me, but we'll kind of ignore that for the time being. I'm talking specifically about Discovery as a television show. I think it's written in a way that is kind of strange and not very good. I think the characters are thinly written. I think the plot is problematic, and a lot of it is just strange to me. And there's been other people on YouTube and certainly critics, reviews and things like that have echoed this sort of sentiment that the writing has been sort of a little backwards, I guess is a way to put it. Characters are injected into situations so that other things can happen down the line, and some of it is compelling in the moment. But in terms of the sort of overall arc of everything and the way that they're portraying it, it kind of leaves you scratching your head sometimes. If you want an example of what I'm talking about, the previous week's episode, or was it 2? I can't remember, but a couple weeks ago, there was the part on the Klingon ship where L'Rell kind of looks like she kills Admiral Cornwell. We know now, spoilers for all of this obviously, we know now that she's not dead, which is what I assumed. But then it was just very, very confusing how they sort of handled that whole situation with her pretending to pledge allegiance to the Klingon commander, and then it ended up being that he the whole thing is just very confusing. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. It's confusing to even try to describe it. So in terms of the writing, in terms of the storytelling, there are a lot of things that have been very problematic. Not always. There's things that have been compelling. But it has left me sort of going like, what are they trying to do here for a lot of the episodes? Now, in terms of the issues that I have with Discovery as a Star Trek show, I think I touched on this in my previous Star Trek video, but obviously the look of the show, the disregard for the Roddenberry rule, which is really my biggest problem in this whole thing. People do not behave in the way that Gene Roddenberry sort of envisioned humanity in his vision of sort of a utopia of the future, it is really missed the mark in terms of that, which they said, that they were going to disregard the Roddenberry rule, and that's really when I was like, okay, I don't know about this show. But all of that being said, I do still have optimism for the show for the following reasons. Number one, the writing can always get better. Everyone knows that Next Generation, seasons 1 and 2 in particular, really struggled to sort of find their footing. And then eventually they did, and obviously the show became great. So the writing can always get better, and from everything that I sort of read and heard, things were really kind of ass backwards on season 1, with Brian Fuller leaving the show and everybody sort of being left to sort of pick up the pieces and rewrite things. It seemed like a bit of a mess. So here's hoping that the rest of season 1 next year and season 2 moving forward can maybe strike a little bit of a different tone and something where it feels a little more cohesive. It has been moving in that direction. I will give credit where credit is due. It feels like as the season has progressed, it's gotten better and better at sort of feeling like there's more sort of unit cohesion going on, especially in the last episode. The second reason is the cast is great, and so I have a lot of faith that if the writing does get better, this is a cast that can really pull it off. Everybody from Anthony Rapp, who I think is maybe my favorite character on the show, Paul Stamets, to, of course, Sonequa and Martin Green, Jason Isaacs, Doug Jones. Everybody involved really is doing everything they can to try to make the show as good as they can make it, and I commend them for that. And reason number 3, and this is really the biggest deal to me of this entire thing, the last episode they finally kind of came out with it that there's some other universes, parallel dimensions, if you will, that are going to get explored. And if this show can get around the Prime universe problem that they've dug themselves into, where nothing looks the way that it's supposed to for this time period and nothing feels the way that it's supposed to for this time period, if they can get around that by saying that this is not in the Prime universe and it's taking place in another universe or a parallel dimension or whatever you want to call it, in my mind, a lot of this is going to be forgiven, because then you can do what you want. Very similar to the JJ movies. You can unburden yourself from the canon, and you can allow yourself to do some of the things that would make more sense with what's been going on the show so far. So I have hope that they will do that it will be revealed that this is a completely different timeline from the Prime universe, and that we can all go, okay, it's a totally different thing, that's fine. Now we can actually watch the show and not have to constantly nitpick all these things. But I don't know whether or not that's going to happen. So we'll have to wait until next year and kind of see where they go with it. But again, credit where credit is due. I have been watching and I have been pulling for the show. I want this show to get better because right now it's just not very good, guys. I know that there's a lot of Star Trek fans out there who are going to disagree with me on that. And I know that there's a lot of Star Trek fans who want this show to be really good. And I count myself as one of those people. I'm a Star Trek fan. I want this show to be really good. And it's they're working on it, but right now it's just not there yet. There's a lot of problems, and I could probably sit here for an hour and talk about all the problems, but I don't want to bore you, so I will leave it at that. Please, if you want to discuss anything, leave a comment down below, and I'll be happy to talk about any aspect of the show that you like or dislike, or any thoughts you have with the show moving forward. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you next time on Car Chat.